Hi, and welcome to this ForNAV coffee break. My name is René Brummel. I'm a product specialist at ForNAV, and I will be your presenter today. Today, we're going to set up ForNAV user permissions. To demonstrate how to set up the ForNAV user permissions, we'll use the standard permission sets from the ForNAV customizable report pack. However, you can add ForNAV permissions to any customized permission set. To demonstrate setting up the ForNAV user permissions, I'm going to use these steps. The prerequisites, what do I need to get going? In step 2, I will inspect the ForNAV permission sets. In step 3, I will set up the users. And in the fourth and final step, I will set up the administrator. Let's start with the first step. Today, I will be setting up the ForNAV user permissions in the Business Central on-premise environment with the Business Central 2023 Wave 2 release. I've installed the universal code version of the ForNAV customizable report pack, and I have executed a step-by-step wizard from the assisted setup to get started. Of course, everything I do today is also available in the Business Central cloud environment. The first thing we will do is investigate the permission sets that are provided by ForNAV. We can see 3 distinct permission sets for ForNAV. We will skip the direct print permission set in this coffee break. That's only used to set up the direct print service account. The ForNAV permission sets contain permissions for all of the ForNAV extensions. Besides these 3 ForNAV permission sets, we have also added the ForNAV user permissions to 2 of the standard Business Central permission sets. Let's go and have a look at what this looks like. So let's go to Business Central. Let's go and sign in. Now let's open our permission sets. And in these permission sets, I'm going to quickly search for ForNAV, and we will find the 3 permission sets that ForNAV have provided. And if we look at the user and look at the permissions, you will see that there's a bunch of permissions here for the table data of all of the ForNAV tables. There's quite a lot of them. Some of them contain actual data. Some of them are only used as temporary tables for running specific reports. However, they're all there. And for some of these tables, like the setup, normal users only have read permissions, and everything else is set up. And finally, at the end, we have the code units and the pages where everybody has access to everything. So that's the standard ForNAV user permissions. If I have a look at the ForNAV admin permissions, you will find that this contains all of the ForNAV setup pages, like the ForNAV setup, the direct print service printer. It's got everything there that you need to set up ForNAV. And of course, ForNAV admin users have read, insert, modify, and delete permissions on all of these tables. Then we said we've also added ForNAV permissions to some of the standard Business Central user permission sets, like the D365 Basic and the D365 Business Premium. And if we look at those permission sets, you will find that they have all of the standard Microsoft permission sets. But if I look at the ForNAV objects, I just sorted downward, you will find that these permission sets have access to the same ForNAV tables that the standard ForNAV user permission set has access to. So if you give one of these users access to D365 Business Premium or D365 Basic, you don't need to give them any more specific permission sets. And now we know which permission sets we have. We can of course assign them to our users. So let's go back to Business Central and let's have a look at our test user. This test user at the moment doesn't have any permission sets at all. Now to give this test user access to ForNAV, I can do 2 things. Of course, I can give them access to ForNAV. There we go. I can give them access to the ForNAV user permission set, and that will give them everything they need to work with ForNAV. But of course, I can also give them access to the D365 Basic and that will give them access to all of the basic Business Central functionality and also to use ForNAV. And finally, we can assign permissions to our administrator. Of course, if your administrator has a super permission set, you don't need to assign any more ForNAV permission sets because the super permission set has access to everything. So if we look at our users, we find we've got an admin user here. I'm actually logged in on this admin user account. This admin user account has super permission sets on every company, which means I can use ForNAV. Let's say I want to add ForNAV admin permission sets to my test user. Test user already has access to the user part of the ForNAV permission sets, so I can simply assign the ForNAV admin permission sets to this user as well, and now this user has access to the setup part of ForNAV. So it's really as simple as that. Let's recap what we just did. The first thing we did was to check the available permission sets. Once we knew which permission sets were available, we could assign them to our users, and finally we were able to assign permissions to our administrators. Thank you for listening to me so far. I'm just going to check and see if we have any questions, which we don't at the moment, so I'm going to wrap up this coffee break. If you want to know more about ForNAV, or if you want to download the ForNAV Designer and Converter, please visit our website. If you want to install ForNAV in Business Central Cloud, please visit the Microsoft App Stores. You can watch more videos about ForNAV on our YouTube channel, and if you have any questions about ForNAV, please email them to support@fornav.com. Of course, we will continue the ForNAV coffee breaks, and for the full list of upcoming and recorded coffee breaks, please visit fornav.com/coffeebreak. Thank you very much for listening to me today, and goodbye.